Hello, we got a hot new e-commerce feature in the program where you can force customers to prepay. Even if you don't force them to prepay, it does change the way that they enter stuff in. Just a little bit though. First thing you're going to want to do is go to stripe.com and get set up and get an account on there. As soon as you get set up there and you get verified, they're going to give you a live publish key and a live secret key. You can use a test one too, just to make sure it's working right, but it's working right. After you get those, go into Configure, General Setup, and Company Variables, and check this box here for use to Stripe.com integration, and then use the live key, the live secret key and the live publish key, and update your screen. Once we have that in, now what we're going to do is set up the pricing for the prepaying clients. This is huge because it goes and it looks for the pricing by a zip code, and then if the client puts in an additional dependent at the same address, it will also look up a rate for that. You know, when you're going to have clients prepay, you have to have the program automatically calculate what they're going to prepay and then have them prepay that amount. We'll get to that. Right now, we'll set those amounts up. You go to Configure, General Setup, and I got a red prepay rates option here. Once you come in there, you add in an option for the client to select for the job type. Whatever you put in, you map it to a certain job type that you have, and you put in the amount of what it would be if it was not in the zip code lookup file, and then what you would charge for a second defendant at the same address if it's not in there. For example, I'll give you an example. My client here, same day, anything that they send in that's not, that they don't have a price for, they're going to charge $175 for the defendant. And what if they send one in Florida, you know, and they're going to charge in $75 for a second defendant at the same address. They have their local rates loaded in here for things that are in their immediate area of their office. Anything outside of that, they're going to charge extra for. I'll show you how to add that in here. You'll go into the rate you added, and you will, again, we map it to a job type. We'll add in some zip codes. Let's say you live in Miami, Florida. So maybe everything in Miami you'll charge $50 for and $25 for an additional defendant at the same address. Now we'll come down here by city and we'll say Florida. In Miami, it's going to pull. It should be all of the zip codes, but you never know. It could miss a couple here and there. It's very hard to keep those databases current. They're always adding in new zip codes and areas. So basically, you just told the program here anything in Miami is $50 for a main defendant and $25 for a second at the same address. And if the client entered in something that's not in Miami, it's going to be $150 and then $75 for an additional at the same address. Now, I mean, once you add in all your areas, it kind of works pretty good. So now that we've done that, we've gotten the Stripe integration, we've set up the prepay rates. Now the clients can log in online, and here's what they're going to see. Oh, you also, I'm sorry, I forgot one important thing. You're going to have to go to the client interface here. I'm sorry, General Setup and Clients. And we'll pull up a client. New ones that register are going to default, but I don't have that yet. I don't have registering yet. That's another couple days away. Pull up an existing client here, and you're going to have to tell the program that, where is it? Can send jobs, new jobs via the client. No, that's not it. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, you do want to check that, but you also want to tell it to force prepayment on the client interface. If you don't do that, it will just let them send in jobs, but the force prepayment will give them a message about that. We'll update this. So if we log in as that client, let's see here. We'll see what they see. Oh, well, they get that. Maybe I need to configure a password for that client too. Let's log in here. You will also want to initially set usernames and passwords for your clients so they can log on and use this. Although we're going to have a nice register option coming up. In the meantime, we'll just set I'll just use this person's name here, nice and simple. All right, let's try to log in again. I can edit this video. I'll cut that mistake out, but don't bet on it. I'm no good at that stuff. I know I need to get better. My competition has nice videos, but we got a nice program. So, all right, so here we are. Client interface, nice and basic. Client can log in and hit Send New Case. And we keep this really simple for them, the goal being to separate them from their work as fast and easy as possible. So they can put in a court. We'll play with that Miami one here. They can put in a court case number if they have it, a plaintiff, and a defendant. The first thing they do is create the case. See? Already telling them the prepayment's required, but they won't pay now. There's nothing added. So now they'll come in. They should 3 job types here. They match. I'm going to use the client rates here because it's got our Miami rates that we put in there. That maps to a job type of, I think it's regular process. But the client will put in a file name and one of the defendants that they're serving. Might as well be me. They'll type in the documents as they'd like them to appear on the affidavit. We may put a drop-down box here to make it easier. And they'll put in an address. And as soon as they put in the zip code, the program knows 33130. Watch this. It's going to know it's a Miami address. I'll even put in a different address here. And we'll put one that's not in Miami. Say Jamaica, New York. And we'll add the one defendant there. You see how it went in and grabbed that Miami rates for $50? And then we used another address here with a rate that was outside of where we'd entered in coverage for, so it grabbed that default rate. Well, now if I come in here with another defendant at the same address, I'll put my wife in there. Well, I'm Rob's wife. Similar documents. Their browsers will auto-save those documents. And what do I hear? Miami. Excuse me. Well, as soon as I add in that other one, it knew this address is another defendant at the same address, so it went in and grabbed. I put regular service. I screwed that up. And so if I'd have put client rates, it would have made it 25. In fact, just for the sake of, just for playing, I'll go ahead and do that. I'll put my sister in there. Drop that in there. Instead of regular service, I'll put those client rates that we actually have the configuration in there for. There we go. It went in and added it for $25. So it knows, you know. Now the clients are also able to attach documents. We generally want them to be PDFs. And they can select what kind here. Court documents. That's the end of that. Once they attach a document, they have the option to manage the attachments, which basically they can just delete the ones that are there. Now, from here, it says prepayment is required. They can get out and manage this queue here. You can see there's one case in the queue, but it's unpaid, and it tells them the case is in the queue. Don't process until paid. That message is not there if the client is not forced to be a prepay client. But they come in here and they hit Pay Now, and they enter in the credit card information. And let me, you know, I don't have the actual, I don't think I put the actual Stripe test key in here. So it's not really going to show us that. Let me see here. Maybe I can get it off the test machine I have in here. So you can see what happens as they pay. This one I have that, but I have no cases in the queue. Let me pop one in here real quick. And I'll show you how the payment part works. And you can see this interface is pretty quick. It's designed separate them from their work very quickly. That's generally what you want to do. I could make it more detailed and it would let you enter in descriptions and everything, but if I did that, it would really just confuse your clients and anger them. I mean, they get mad if it takes too long. They're like, well, we don't want to do your data entry, you know? Well, here's how you do it. Here's how you pay it. I'll put my name in here. And they have a test credit card you can use. That would be 5555. I think it's 4 4s. And anything you put in here works. See, it knows the amount. It makes them do that. And then it prepays it at the case level here. It approves it. And this is what you see when it's paid. We track the identifier and everything. So when the client comes out here to the main interface, they can see that it's paid. And it's going to sit there until you accept it. And this is how it accepts it. When you come here to your main command center, you'll see these 2 notices here. It says you have 0 jobs by the client interface. This is the old one. I haven't completely deprecated the old one yet. If you're under a requester login and they use send jobs fast, it's going to go in the old way until I knock that out. But a client login see, it says you received 2 by the new client interface. This is the one we just typed in here. And sure enough, it tells us it's already paid. We got a defendant. We got a document here and the address. I didn't attach scans to the one on this machine, but you can see it here. When you hit accept, it's going to accept it. And it wants you to open up the LDMAX in another window and verify they are received okay before it deletes it out of the queue. Just having to do that because we just started this, but it's correct. What is it? 226235. It puts everything in. In the case notes, it puts the payment information in case there's ever a problem. And the jobs are entered in just fine. You'll find them in unassigned jobs. Usually when a new one comes in, you can just go right to, well, that's how I recommend it. You go to unassigned jobs wherever I put that at. I might have taken it off his command center. You know, everybody can have a custom command center now, so everybody wants a little bit of stuff different on it. And I'll also show you back on his interface, although it gives the client that message to prepay, they don't really have to, but you don't have to take the work in either. Oh, where's the server I was on here? Oh, darn it. Let me boot that up again. Didn't remember that one. I really got to edit some of this stuff out of this video. You're probably bored watching this. I see this case here that's unpaid. Even this one, you can still see that on the command center here. There's one new case by the client interface, and I can pull it in if I choose. It tells you right here if it's paid and if the client requires prepayment. Oh, I got to add that file there. No, I'll be back for that. Hold on. All right, let's try this again. So we'll click here to bring the case in. We see it's not paid, so it's up to us if we really want to accept it or just wait for them to pay or call them up and tell them to pay. When we hit accept here, it's going to make the jobs, and we can open them up and then hit verified okay. But I already know it's going to be fine. It's very fast. I'm using a new way of storing the data on those in a temporary queue with dynamic XML. You can see here it added all the charges. Now, had this one had the approved payment, it would have also added in prepayments on them. So when you invoiced it, it would just zero it all out. And that's the new prepayment option. If you have any questions, hit us up. We got you on it. Thank you.